Welcome back to the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. We are Clint and James, and let's get down to business. Clint, how you doing today, buddy? You are wearing flannel. You're really doing it.
It's cold here, buddy. It's cold.
What's the temperature like there?
You're gonna laugh.
I'm sure I will.
The West Coast has softened me.
Yeah.
It's like in the low 40s today.
Oh, that's cute.
But it's wet, and it's just cuts right through you.
Yeah.
Like the freezing,
the chill that goes straight to my bones.
Like the freezing, the freezing Nordic winds in a immortal black metal song.
Sick.
What's been going on, dude? How was your week? Your voice sounds back to normal, so that's awesome.
Yeah, my voice is back to its stupid normal sound. I had it good for a couple days, buddy. I really liked it.
I really thought you were going to turn into a dark jazz guy, and I was really excited for that path and that journey that you were going to go on.
No, dude, honestly, it was really funny because everyone that heard me in that period was like, you sound like a radio announcer.
Dude, it was so perfect.
Oh my gosh, it really was. I sounded like the fucking amped up radio douche.
It made me want to do like ask any listeners or friends for questions, and then we could just answer the questions, kind of like a call for advice kind of thing. You're like, well, let me tell you about relationships. Love on the rocks ain't no big surprise. Like,
yeah, it just really made song? I don't know, but it really made everything sound so much cooler, and now it's back to its stupid normal sound.
Yeah, now you sound like a fucking idiot.
Now I just sound like a fucking idiot. But it's fine. I had it good for a little bit.
Hell yeah, baby. Thank you for asking. My weekend was really good.
This weekend when you learned to become a lumberjack, right?
I did. Oh yeah,
that's where you got the flannel.
Yeah, it's actually I just want to be a juggalo. But that's a hatchet, so that's different.
Yeah, it's completely different. I think flannel, though. Still works.
Speaking of which, there's not to promote products that we're not involved with, but this is a show. We're buying tickets. We're buying tickets at the end of February to go see the Cottonmouth Kings in Crazy Town.
No way.
Oh, dude, like we just got to go.
No fucking way.
Like, dude, if not just for the experience and the people watching, because every single time I go to an event like that, I always just have a blast. Like I bring like 2 friends with me and then we just rage it up. And we're like, we're tourists.
Hilarious.
We're tourists in that world, but it's like we have fun. We're respectful and nice. Like we're not making fun of people, but it's like we are. But but not like in an outward way. Like we're still
the only reason you're going. Yeah.
We're still friendly. Oh, bro, Cottonmouth Kings. I saw them when I was like, I don't know, like 16, and they like smoked weed with me, and I was like, if you only knew how illegal this was in Alabama. But yeah, man, that'll be fun coming up. I went to another show this weekend. Actually, a bunch of local bands and one touring band, but a band called Pound from here that's really cool. It's like face melting mathcore shit. Band called Gray Lotus was super tight. You should check them out. Sick. I think they're from the Southeast. Devils of Loudon, kind of like shreddy tech death stuff. Super cool. Yeah, man, it's good. Good little show we had going on there.
Sounds like it's really going down up there in Seattle, huh? Bro,
crazy shows. Like shows are back to the point where like I feel like people are gonna stop, just not go to a bunch because there's so much shit going on. Like every Friday there's 4 metal shows,
Damn, that's awesome.
I mean, yes and no, but the scene's alive, baby.
That's what's important. That's what's important.
And we've been working on a new release that we'll talk about for next week because it comes out this Friday. So if you're hearing it this week, you have something to look forward to on Friday. Nice and heavy.
We're fucking doing it, man.
We're doing it, baby. Anyways, enough of my bullshit. What you got? What you got going on? What's on your mind?
Bub,
You seem troubled.
I do feel troubled because I've just been seeing a lot of stuff recently about some very strange things, and it has me feeling rather conflicted. It's making me think that my entire life has been a fucking lie.
Well, here comes James on his flat earth shit. Here we go. I knew it was going to happen eventually.
The earth is a pancake.
And I can fall off the edge.
Not directly, but we that does kind of get folded into this conversation. So this has been a subject that has gained some momentum over the past couple years. It's starting to be taken a little more seriously, mostly because there's new technologies that are allowing us to view our world and more importantly, parts of our world that most humans can't readily access. And let me just kind of like zoom out a little bit. What if the history of humanity is far older than we give it credit for? Like, we like to think that modernized, civilized humanity has only existed in the recent past, and we are its pinnacle. But what if that was total bullshit? What if at points in Earth's dense history, there were other human civilizations that were not only equally or comparably advanced to us, in terms of being able to sustain a large civilization's life, and at a bare minimum, at least technologically advanced well beyond like hunter-gatherer. Okay, so that's been a question that I guess people have asked for a long time, but not given a lot of like serious thought to, because we think that, humans really kind of emerged strictly recently. So there's a lot of things,
sense, right? Like archaeologists and everything, like, right? Like they try to date back all this shit that they can find of any like civilization that is obviously not around anymore, like, like the Mayans or, anything like that. But you're saying that it goes back even further than like pre what we consider to be like human history.
Let's say
humans were around when dinosaurs were around. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, maybe, but not even necessarily. Like, in the scheme of things, even if humanity had been around for tens of thousands of years longer than we think it has been, that would be a long time for humanity. Tens of thousands of years, a lot of shit can happen in tens of thousands of years, right? So if we think human history is X thousand years old, and in reality, the truth is that it may be double that, though it doesn't put them alive when dinosaurs are alive, but it definitely completely changes the conversation. So there's like a number of different rabbit holes we can get down here. Let me just start by unpacking what is probably going to be most familiar to you is like Egypt, right? We like to think Egypt was this society that emerged out of at that time, dense jungles in Egypt, and was by all accounts, a flourishing civilization that created technological things that we still marvel today.
Yeah.
Right. But
they
there's
had
always
superior technology and
or at least
culture.
At the very least, they had culture and they had a very advanced understanding of mathematics at the very least. So maybe they weren't arcing electricity down the street like we do now, but they had enough knowledge to understand how to make massive megalithic structures with, pinpoint accuracy and alignments to celestial bodies. They understood math. Like, they really fucking got it. So there's always been this argument about the age of the Sphinx. On the top of the Sphinx, how it's like It looks like the head of a human. But if you really look at the Sphinx, you'll notice that that head is not in the correct proportion to what the legs are. So it's proposed that at one point was a much larger dog statue, and then over time got destroyed or damaged in war or something, and the Egyptians reformed what remained of the body with the head of a humanoid, and that is what the Sphinx, that is what we know now. But there's this big argument about how old is the Sphinx? What does the erosion along the side of the Sphinx mean? Is it sand erosion? Is it water erosion? If it's water erosion, was this underwater? If it was underwater before the Egyptians were there, then how was this statue there?
I always thought it was a cat body, not a dog body.
Well, here, we'll pull up the picture, and it'll be easy to see what I'm talking about. Yes, that's what we know it as, right? That's the only thing we know it as. But there's this idea that's proposed that the Sphinx was a different megalithic structure, was damaged, and then the Egyptians, when they inherited it, they reform it. They reshaped it, reformed it to work with the vernacular of their culture. So I guess what I'm saying here is, what if the Egyptians didn't build their entire society? What if they inherited some of it?
See, what, like, now, took it over?
Like it was left over from a previous civilization, and they inherited it. Maybe they themselves are the remnants of that former civilization, and they built the new civilization on the remains of the old one. So here I'll find. This is a weird picture because it's a strange perspective, but you'll see like the proportion of the body, the legs, the head doesn't fit.
Yeah, the head looks like different.
This used to be, I think it's Anubis, the dog, the Egyptian dog. That's what it was supposed to be, and then it was damaged. And there's like this big debate about what is this damage right here. You can't see where my mouse is pointing, but like those lines below the head, there's the argument that like, you know, was it sand and wind erosion? Was it water erosion? If it was water erosion, does that mean this thing was underwater?
Submerged
if it was underwater. So,
well, because all deserts, they say like all deserts were at one point covered in water.
Egypt, 100% was a fucking lush jungle when the Egyptians were there. Like it wasn't a desert when they lived there. It was a lush area of the globe that provided them anything that they could need as far as their natural resources. But we just know it now as a desert. So, okay, so here's what I'm getting at. There's been a big debate about a lot of new discoveries, a couple discoveries they've made, megalithic sites all around the world. There's a really famous one in the Amazon. They did LiDAR scans of this dense jungle, and they found literally an entire lost city that the jungle had just consumed. People thought it was there, but no one could prove it, and now they can prove it. Like there is shit that humans made that is right there. We didn't even know.
And it just got all overgrown and swallowed up, and yeah.
A lot can happen in just tens of thousands of years, even 1,000 years. If we disappeared from all of our cities, in 1,000 years, they would be completely overtaken by the forest. Like that's a lot can happen in only a small amount of human Earth time.
Totally.
You know, if we've got the numbers wrong, we could be missing out on really like some crazy portions of the conversation. So anyways, this is with the Egyptians. It would also be an easy segue to go to the Sumerians, right? The Sumerians predate the Egyptians, but again, like what if they weren't the first? What if the Sumerians were just the remnants of the predecessor civilization? And then it gets into some strange territory where you start looking at the myths of Egypt, the myths that the Greeks brought back from Egypt.
Right, whatever their lore and religion stories and all those things, where do those come from?
And
right?
a lot of those cultures all have a similar, we came from a bigger civilization story. There was the Sumerians are Anunnaki, right?
Right.
The Egyptians had their thing. Every one of these types of cultures has their thing. Like, we came from somewhere else. This is where we are now. It's not where we started. So this is where it gets real strange. So there's this thing called the Eye of Africa, and it's this massive fucking formation. Let me see if I can go to Google Maps even. Really?
But if it was going, I mean, somebody has to be the first civilization, though. You know what I mean?
Like, I don't doubt that there was. I just don't know if it's what we think it was, right?
Well, yeah. But what I was going to ask, what do you think that who would gain anything from that? And I was like, oh yeah, they probably just erased some kind of culture or some kind of history that would allow humanity to be free thinking and independent and live off the land instead of having to pay a bunch of people. And
yeah, there's a million different ways you can start to unpack that. I mean, honestly, it's maybe there was knowledge of some like super powerful technology that knowledge they did not want getting out to the masses, and that's the reason they wiped out the history and eliminated. I mean, dude, if you want to talk about wiping out history, all you have to do is look through the Vatican fucking archives.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure the amount of erased history that is in that place could probably tell us a lot more about the true history of culture on this planet.
What do you think like the Crusades was? It was literally them just like going over and conquering places and deleting their culture.
Exactly what I'm saying. So right, you said before, it is said that all places that are now deserts at one point were underwater, right? Yeah, I mean that's an understood scientific. When we look at Africa, this whole top area that used to be lush jungle. This thing's getting buggy as shit. Hang on, let me see if this can not lose its mind.
I love the slow zoom in.
This is so ridiculous. Okay, you can
turn
kind
on
of
turn on some Philip Glass in the background and just slow zoom in. Cinematic.
Okay, so if you look at the northern part of Africa, you start to see motion to the sand, right?
Yeah.
There's patterns, there's waves that you would think that it's a desert. These are dunes. But what it really is the leftover surface of when this was all underwater. Right? This is all underwater. And as I zoom in here, you're going to see what I'm talking about. You'll literally see the tracks where the land has just been running into the fucking water.
Yeah.
This was all at the bottom of the ocean, or not necessarily at the bottom, but it was all submerged. They can find fucking, seashells and aquatic life. This was all underwater. You're really starting to see it kind of take form right here. Just like thousands of fucking years of water running over this and till it finally the sea levels changed because of the formation or melting of ice, and this land was reclaimed, but it was all desert because it was the bottom of the ocean.
So what are you getting at, bub?
Basically what I'm getting at here is that there's some people that think this location that I'm taking fucking forever to zoom in on is where the lost city of Atlantis actually was.
Oh.
And it was an actual real place.
What a majestic place that would be.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be?
And this just goes back to my, what I say. It's like conspiracy theorists just live a much more fun life than other people because they believe in magic and the possibilities of these things, right?
I don't know. The lag from this might really be fucking up my stream. This was a complete exercise in futility. But you see this right here. Like all this.
Yeah.
All those lines that are leading out to the water used to flow across that. That's what made the land look like that. When you can zoom all the way out on Africa, on the top half of Africa, and you can see it. Anyways, so this place, the Eye of Africa, matches the geographic description of Atlantis. It was known at the time, this area was known to be Atlantia, and there was a person who ruled there named Atlas. And according to the story, which is a remnant, a story that a Greek philosopher heard when they were in Egypt from the Egyptians about the history of Atlantis. And Atlantis was the predecessor civilization. So Sumerians and the Egyptians, they effectively were building upon the ashes of Atlantis when Atlantis succumbed to a massive tsunami or flood that kind of lines up with other civilizations' retelling of a global catastrophe flood.
Right.
And, before people were like, this is bullshit, there's no way. But now with the abundance of carbon dating of a lot of these megalithic sites, they can say, well, this is surrounded by soil that's way older than it should be. Like, no, for as much as we know, humans weren't around then. But here's where it gets so interesting, dude. Any of these megalithic civilizations, nature came through and destroyed them by whatever means. The temperature dropped. No one could survive the cold.
Right.
They couldn't get enough food. They died. A massive tsunami, volcanic eruption. They honestly, and this is totally serious, they could be as technically advanced as we are. But over a couple 10,000 years, literally everything that constituted that entire civilization would be dust, except for the shit they built in stone. Think about that. Like all the shit that we have, you think there'd be like traces of computers and shit. Over a couple 10,000 years, there'd be nothing.
Hopefully they were smarter and didn't just make everything out of petroleum-based plastics.
But the thing is even if they did, they that couldn't even last the test of time, right? They probably didn't. They probably had a fundamental different understanding and appreciation for life and our connection to the planet and connection to our metaphorical place in the universe. They probably understood that way better than anyone does now, but it's been really fucking me up just thinking about that. Now, it's not the first time I've thought about that. What's fucking me up is that there's like now tangible information that can give that lore credence. And it's just, I always thought
Atlantis was like a mythical, like underwater civilization.
Well, the historical account is it sank. But what if it didn't sink? What if it didn't sink? What if it just got covered with water? Right? So when you look at the Eye of Africa, I'll go back to a picture, not the fucking thing. not Google Earth. If you look at this, geographically, it matches the description of Atlantis, which was, this is probably the best picture to illustrate. I guess not really. Here, this is what the description of Atlantis was. Concentric circles, massive sprawling, right? That's what the proposed idea of what Atlantis was. Right here. And this is the actual site. This is the Eye of Africa. The water flowing out here, lush green land, square deserts on either side. You have to kind of zoom out to see that. That's this picture. Square deserts on either side. Like, it matches very accurately the description of the retelling of Atlantis. And again, at the time, if we've accepted the possibility that human history goes back way further than we're thinking, if we can put that aside for a second, at the time that this was a civilization, the real estate on planet Earth was different. Some shit was submerged, some shit wasn't.
Right.
Maybe a lot of shit wasn't. Maybe a lot of shit was still above water. And maybe by the time we inherit the land, some of that shit has gone under. I mean, that is known because tectonic plates, land masses shift as the water and the ice caps grow or reduce in size. That changes the water, which is going to change how much livable land is on planet Earth.
Right.
And all of that shit changes over time in the magnitude of hundreds of thousands and millions of years. But there's a lot of the idea of Atlantis being this magical underwater city. That's what it turned into, because
mermaids.
The lore said Atlantis sank, right? But the real lore of Atlantis is that it was an actual place that succumbed to a natural disaster, and the Sumerians and the Egyptians rode the wave. There is right now, beyond a doubt, because they're finding them all over the fucking place every fucking day. But in just Egypt alone, I'm sure there are entire Egyptian cities that are buried underground that we just haven't been to because we don't know they're there. So we can't dig down to find them. And when we're talking about tens of thousands of years, we're talking about hundreds of feet of soil. Like, so much land has changed, has reshaped and reformed since then. Who knows what we're going to find the more we start digging and the more we start using LiDAR and all these like ground penetrating radars.
If we'll even ever be able to find it that way.
Right.
We might not. Just like you were saying, like
a
couple natural disasters, but the earth is constantly regenerating. And, it's like it's swallowing things down below.
Reshaping. Reforming.
Spitting it back out through, active volcanoes to make little islands. And that's just how that shit goes. Right. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I guess what I'm wondering is, what do you think that information is being withheld, or is just unknown?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I am sure that if that was known by a power that be, this is not something that they would want getting out. It disrupts the flow. It disrupts. I mean, if you really look at the chain of command when it comes to the control of population, it's religion, and then government, and then societal norms and standards. Right. If we say that humanity is tens of thousands of years older than what we've been previously told, we're basically saying your religion is nothing.
Right.
Like what your entire life was a fucking lie, right? And that would just create too much chaos. Like, again, the Vatican. I'm sure the Vatican has historical accounts of civilizations that existed from the untold civilizations that they have eradicated. I'm sure there's a treasure trove of history of because, you know, I doubt the Vatican would have destroyed it. The Vatican would have just taken it and kept it secret. And that's just one institution, right? That's just one group of people. It's not, we're not even taking into account all the other people who were alive and had means and motive at that time to control people by making, I mean, think about that, dude. Think about that. Like, what if we're down the line, just like one of the bastard children of, we're the leftovers, right? And like, we like to think we're so advanced, but we're really not that advanced. We're living, at least these societies, we're living in complete balance with the world. And cataclysmic event aside, like, we can't withstand a cataclysmic event anyway. So it doesn't matter how advanced you are. Very few humans are going to be able to stop an earthquake or a volcano or a tsunami.
Then why did, if they were so advanced and in harmony, why did God punish them?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. God smited them because they were doing too good, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one thing that's always like bummed me out, that if somebody finds me, this is why, you know, let this go for the record. My partner knows this. My family knows this. Burn me when I die. I don't want to be dug up in like thousands of years and be like, oh, well, this is just the average male living in North America right here. And you can see that during this time, what was very popular was, you know, all of this shit. And I was like,
wearing flannel shirts and immortal hats.
The song, the Katy Perry song was #1, and they all consumed large amounts of plastic every day.
Yeah, exactly.
They use these things called floppy disks because they would only be off. They'd be off like, oh, we could be off by 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like, oh yeah, he used floppy disks to have information. Yeah. No, burn me. Ooh, I'm bringing back floppy disks, dude. I bet there's a floppy disk.
Please don't.
I bet there's a floppy disk in the Vatican that has this on it.
That actually may be right. But it's not out of date technology there. To them, that's like cutting edge shit. It's the Vatican we're talking about here. Like, come on, dude.
Didn't the Pope just die?
A former Pope died. Yes.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
former Pope. I think this was the Hitler. This was the Hitler Youth Pope that died.
Oh, cool. Well, then, yeah, no rip deserved.
Yeah,
fuck yourself.
Def.
Have fun in heaven.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, heaven, right. But, you know, would people want to keep this quiet? Of course they would. Changes the whole narrative completely. It would irreversibly let everyone know how meaningless their existence is, right? Like, honestly, there's so much of this current to society today that is propped up by the self appointed air of superiority. Like, we're the best. We're the best society. We're the best humans that ever lived. We are at the top. We are at the cutting edge.
And everyone has a voice with social media, and everybody's opinion matters.
How amazing would it be if one day they were like, not only were we not the most advanced, we're actually we're not one of the best. We didn't even place in the top 10. Like, of the civilizations that have been on this planet, we didn't really do that good. We were our own demise. It didn't even take an earth cataclysm. We did it. Yeah. We did it to ourselves.
We just fucked the earth up enough where we couldn't live here anymore.
No, that's what I mean. Like, that's
it wasn't a tsunami. It was
that would crush people. That would just, people wouldn't understand. They would have a newfound appreciation for the meaning of nothing. That's why this is a dangerous, like, a fringe thing.
Yeah, for sure. But I think even at this point, like, I feel like people are so wrapped up in their shit anyways. Like, even if they were just like, oh yeah, by the way, which I'm sure has happened, but like, hey, here's proof that aliens exist, and here's this a proof of this ancient civilization that predates anything that Christianity's ever talked about or whatever. It could just be out there and people be like, whatever.
It might be. It might already be.
Information's so fucked now.
Yeah. We're living in the age of confusion for sure. Okay, so good segue there. You're talking about aliens, right? So we can really get down to the core of what I've been focusing on the past few days. So this is interesting. This whole, we're not the first civilization. We're building on the backs of previous generations that were debatably more or less advanced than us in certain ways. But we've already kind of gone over the fact that the available real estate on planet Earth was different. It wasn't always like this. Like we have it like this in our lifetime, but in other people's lifetimes, the usable land on this planet was different. And there's a debate going on now that is also gaining more steam, that at one point, South America and Antarctica were connected, and that Antarctica had a more sustainable environment for abundant plant life and humans, right? And there's this really, really, really old map called the Piri-Reis map. And apparently that map was made from a number of different maps that were ultimately burned in the Library of Alexandria. So like old, right, ancient world shit. And on this map, it shows Antarctica as a place that you could visit on a boat that was connected to South America, and that had plant life and definitely like people there. Like that was livable, usable space. And it kind of, there's a couple, another anomaly along this path is Easter Island, right? It's this island isolated in the middle of nowhere, but there are these huge megalithic structures that we're just seeing the tops of their heads, but they're actually like 40-foot stone bodies. They're huge. As they excavated them, and they're like full figurines. They're not just heads. And everyone's like, how to get there? Well, at one point, it wasn't surrounded by water. At one point, that was livable land surrounded and connected to other land that people could... And it was
probably a large civilization.
Yeah, that was a large encampment lived there. So anyways, back to Antarctica. So Antarctica has always been kind of this weird place. Like it was a while ago agreed that, I think after World War II, it was agreed that Antarctica was, both of the poles were only really going to be used for like research, and they're going to be shared space by all countries on the planet. Everyone had access to them, and kind of like the International Space Station.
Right.
A bunch of countries have a bunch of like massive settlements down there, and there's cross collaboration between scientists of different backgrounds who are doing different types of research on all sorts of shit down there. And one group of people who was down there taking core samples found legitimate plant life underneath the ice, like plants with a root system and soil. It was down there. It's just been covered with ice. Yeah. And now that these fucking poles are melting, who knows what we're going to find there. Number one. But number two, this now kind of connects to the thing that I've been really going down the rabbit hole of is Antarctica. There's this whole new conversation. Now, one of the things that always pops up is the flat earth shit. I don't think the earth is flat. I think that's stupid. I think if you think the earth is flat, you're stupid. And you just need to go on YouTube and watch the videos of the flat earthers who conduct their own experiments and find that the earth is curved and spherical. Okay. Just go watch those and shut the fuck up about the earth being flat. There's many better conspiracy theories. Just get over it. It was dumb. It was a dumb thing. Forget about it. Move on. Pick up something else. But everyone thinks that that's where I'm going with this. No, I don't think that. However, I do know that there's a lot of shit down there that no human in recent history has touched. We haven't even gotten close.
Yeah.
Right? So there's not a lot of history, as you would imagine, about Antarctica, because not much goes on down there. It's fucking ice. But there's this thing called, okay, so where do I start here? Probably Operation High Jump. Operation High Jump was this thing, this admiral, I think Admiral Byrd was his name, leads this massive armada down to Antarctica. The United States says it's for research and exploration purposes only, but it wasn't. Okay, they were definitely doing something else down there, and that's kind of debated as to what that is. But there's, a couple documentaries of like the legitimate research that went on down there, and they're supposed to be there for 8 months. They're only there for a couple weeks, and then they come home. And decades later, somebody apparently gets access to Admiral Byrd's personal diary, and he has all these crazy retellings of running into aliens and spacecraft and a crystal city underneath the ice in Antarctica. The trouble with that is that I don't know how true any of the personal diary story is. Like that, it could be his personal diary, or it could just be some shit someone made up.
Yeah, it could have been a screenplay.
However, all we really have to do is we have to go back a couple years before that. A couple years before that, I want to say late 1930s, the Nazis go down there, and they go down there to establish a whaling colony. Apparently at that time, a lot of margarine. They used whale blubber. I know they used whale blubber and all sorts of shit. That was like a valuable thing back. It was a simpler time. Okay. Yeah. It was a simpler fucking time. But that's what they say they're doing. They go down there and they stay around for a while. Apparently there's like another Norwegian settlement there already. But the Nazis were into some strange shit. The Nazis were super into this lore that they were going to uncover a lost civilization that would legitimize the Aryan history, the Aryan Brotherhood plotline that they were trying to push. They were convinced that if they just dug deep enough, they would find the remnants of the great Aryan civilization that once walked the earth, like to just legitimize their whole bullshit story. But this was like, they were serious about it. And I think this is something that people discount a lot. People always joke about the whole, the leaders are meeting in secret rooms when they're all wearing robes and doing these occult ceremonies. Right. Some of them actually do that. They actually do that. And the Nazis, they were really into it. The Vril Society and Himmler, I think, was like the true ringleader of all the occult shit, but they were deep. They were really deep into some Nordic, druidic, occult, sorcery, strange fucking behavior. Anyways, the Nazis, they weren't down there for a super long time, but they were down there, and that's suspicious. And the Nazis probably were doing more than just whaling down there. They were probably doing some other shit.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, if you were a world power, you probably tried to do other things like
there's
like I think
some
it's really
strategic
easy.
Advantage.
It's always really easy to discount because, especially in like modern times, like because Nazis fucking lost, so everybody they're like, oh, lederhosen, and then we're just like sucking each other off and shit in movies and just being goofy. But it's like, no, they were probably into some sinister shit about trying to figure
really
out
about it
history, and
they were really fucking about legitimizing their cause at any cost.
Is that why? Is that maybe the bridge of why the History Channel all of a sudden went from just like World War II documentaries,
the Hitler Channel, the Hitler Channel turned,
but then it turned into fucking aliens.
Well,
because I guess they ran out of regular Nazi shit.
So the connection that I'm trying to make there isn't that far off. Wernher von Braun, one of the scientists that we took over Operation Paperclip, the guy who we put in charge of NASA, Wernher von Braun, was in charge of the V2 rocket program for the Nazis. He was a Nazi. He was a Nazi. We put him in charge of NASA. And he was on record saying, when we were developing that technology in Nazi Germany, we had help, and was implying that it was from some divine source. That connection has always been there, is what I'm trying to say. Right. And this shit in Antarctica, the Nazis were down there and they were doing something. And the Americans knew they were down there and they didn't like that. So they sent a huge armada down there. And the armada was supposed to be down there for 8 months, but they were only down there for a couple weeks, I think like 16 weeks. And then they came back.
Yeah.
So there's always this question, what did they find down there? And what did they find down there that made them want to leave so quickly when they were planning to be down there for 8 months? Well, now, it is a known fact that Nazis got out of Germany before the end of the war. There are Bavarian villages all over fucking Argentina and South American countries where Nazis escaped. In fact, multiple Nazis were extradited from South America, countries in South America, and tried in Israel. This is a known thing. Nazis escaped there and to other places. And one of the thoughts is that, in particular, I can't remember what his specific job was. Maybe he was in charge of like special projects or like all the high strangeness shit that the Nazis would have been doing. That guy who was never caught escaped with some of the exotic pieces of technology and has some like rogue Third Reich on Antarctica or in some fucking Amazon jungle. But I mean, and we'll definitely have to go. That'll be a whole other episode, the Nazis going to South America, because that's real as shit. That's real as shit. FBI was looking into it. People have been extradited.
Oh yeah.
There is an entire Bavarian village in a jungle in Argentina. Germans built it. So
if you look into it's what's called called Vatican rat lines. It's the
rat lines. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Vatican actually helped smuggle.
It was the
Nazis.
Vatican and Red Cross.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit's gnarly. And no, it's for sure. It's got to be true. There's no way they killed all the Nazis, right? But also, if you want to live in Antarctica, fuck off, have fun. I don't want to go there. Metallica went there.
Did they?
They said they played a show there.
I wish they would have stayed. They fucking
Metallica, freeze them all live in Antarctica. Yeah, I was like, I was gonna go to
so fucking stupid.
I was gonna go to Metallica.
I was
going to go to Antarctica for 8 months, and then I saw Metallica down there, and I turned the fuck around.
I left immediately. Yeah, the connection between like the Nazis and the UFOs, like that goes deep, because also around that time there was a couple things that apparently the Nazis were working on that would be classified as like unidentifiable flying objects. One of them was the Glocka. There's another device that was, could travel at insane rates of speed. A lot of the sightings and the UFO thing entering the common vernacular, that occurs right after World War II is over.
Right.
Even like the Roswell incident, all the insane uptick in people noticing unidentified craft in the sky. There was an uptick after World War II. And the argument has always been, was that the Americans experimenting with the looted Nazi technology? Because we took the technology and we took the scientists, so we could probably use it. Or was it Nazis who escaped, who now had superior technology, but they didn't have an infrastructure to actually fight the government? So it's
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know either. But that's all I mean to say is like I told you this. We started in one place and we ended in like 9 other places. But that's kind of what I was trying to say about. It's just been like a never-ending fucking. There's a lot. There's like so many. It opens so many different doors and gives, certain conversations a little more context and other conversations less context. I don't know if I've discovered anything from thinking about any of this, but
well, either way, I mean, like Antarctica is for sure a mysterious continent because, like you said, most people have
it's
not
covered in
and will
ice.
never and
Yeah.
will never fucking go there, right? It's
It's a
uninhabitable.
foreign land. It might as well be Mars.
Yeah, I mean, you literally have to have like life support structures in order to be able to live there.
Hyper specialized equipment and gear,
Correct.
like clothing. Yeah.
But I'm for sure under that because if Pangea and everything is correct, that was all one part of it at least, right? So I'm sure that there's remnants of ancient civilizations down there that we will probably not see in our lifetime due to
I don't know. Those caps are melting pretty fast, so
yeah, we'll see about
maybe we
that.
will.
But yeah, no, I always thought that was interesting, and yeah, there's always that weird alien aspect too, like because even like was it like Alien versus Predator, right? Like didn't they go down there and then there's some crazy like it's basically just the old like xenomorph temple, and then like all the eggs start hatching and shit. It's wild, but all of that could be. I don't know what's down there. I've never been.
Who the fuck knows?
Metallica does.
Metallica does. Yeah.
Freeze them all.
God damn it. It's one of those things where it's like, this world is so crazy. Even the oceans, like we have unlimited access to the ocean, but we can't even explore it. Like we're just now developing tools that will allow us to explore the depths of the ocean. And even those like won't get us to the bottom. They won't get us all the way down there.
Yeah.
We have to use hyper specialized equipment that only really became possible to create in the past 20 years. So, it's just interesting, but it's funny because like all these conversations, all of them have the same philosophical outcome. They make people question their position in the scheme of things, right? If any of these conversations ends in we weren't the first people here and we're not currently the most advanced, that really fucks shit up. That like completely changes the way humans view their life. If through going down this rabbit hole, it's discovered that, maybe we're the most advanced, but we're not the only creatures on this planet that are sentient or capable of having an advanced civilization. That also fucks things. Like there's no scenario where we entertain any of these ideas. Just one of them is true. It's so unsettling to the rest of the story that I don't know. It's just interesting to look at something so complex where the stakes are so high. If any of this can be verified, it completely changes everyone's perspective of life in this universe.
Here's what I appreciate about scientific minds versus faith and religious based minds, right? Scientific minds are always looking for new answers, new theories, new possibilities, and the actual like facts and data to back that up. As to where religion is very rigid and it is written in its own little box, and then everything that happens outside of it, they said, oh, it's because of this, and they just make up some excuse for it. There is no data to back any of that up. As to where scientists and people that don't think they have like a growth mindset, so to speak, right? Sorry to get all like LinkedIn on you, but like, fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, right? I mean, and the scientific mind would always be a growth mindset because the information is constantly changing and updating, and it's not fixed in some rigid way to lock you into a certain way of thinking, because that's when your world's gonna fucking break. You know, like if you're like, oh my God, this is fucking real. And if some shit like that, where they're like, oh, by the way, there's this ancient civilization here in Antarctica, I'd be like, that's tight. Hell yeah. Like, that's cool. I want to learn more about that.
Dude.
Like, they had animals that were extinct and they found the bones of them. It's like, this is wild. Like in between
unicorns
dinosaurs.
for real?
Dude, that would be so sick.
It would be sick. It would be sick. I mean, even the Atlantis thing, like even if like, okay, enough, we can dig down deep enough to find remnants. We can discover some lost tablet that's had something chiseled in it. that proves Atlantis was a real place. Like even just the acknowledgement that this thing that everyone thought was a myth was an actual real place that was exactly as advanced and monolithic as they said it was. Even that, it's just like, I love the disruption factor. Like all of this doesn't have to be true. I'm sure all of it isn't true. If only a slim portion of it is true, it's enough to like really disrupt the goddamn story.
Yeah.
And I just love that. It's like such a delicious bit of chaos that within the next couple of years, especially as we get more affordable and deployable LiDAR and ground penetrating radar technologies, who knows what we're going to find down there. And when we start finding the shit that unequivocally denies the story that humans are X years old, I just love it. Like, and that doesn't need to be sinister. Like, whatever, we got it wrong. It's not a big fucking deal. Who the fuck cares? Let's go past it.
You can say you're wrong and at least there's new information that suggests this.
At least 50% of the global population does not want to do that.
No.
So that's why it's funny to me, is like in the next couple of years when this shit becomes undeniable, it'd just be interesting to see like how people respond to it. I don't know. It's so chaotic. It's so, I kept watching it. All the things and reading all these things. And I just kept thinking like, this is fucking chaos. There's no scenario where any of these things are true and people do not just lose their fucking shit and question their fucking existence in the best possible way. But yeah, I don't know. I have been yelling at you for the past hour, so I apologize for that. But it's just something I have just been thinking so much about. To me, that's life. To me,
I've got the perfect bro hangout vacation spot for us. We're going to Antarctica, baby. pack your flannels.
Yeah. Pack my flannels, my immortal
get your
baseball cap.
Get your Gore-Tex undies, and let's go find some fucking crystal cities, my man.
Yeah, let's find some crystal fucking cities. Like who? This is what I'm saying. Like, who wouldn't want that? Like, whose life doesn't get better when we find there's a fucking crystal city underneath Antarctica? Whose life doesn't get better because of that?
The people who were trying to keep it a secret. I don't know.
I mean, I guess
people with fixed mindsets. The Pope. I'll keep going.
Bro. It's a crystal city. Like what? Why would it just, honestly, I think it's because I'm not easily amazed. And it takes something really obnoxious to inspire the childlike wonder that died inside of me so long ago. I guess other people are just easily entertained.
Yeah, let's go to Antarctica, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, I'll need to bring my MiFi so we can do a live stream, bro. We can live stream from the Crystal City, bro.
There we go.
We're getting probed tonight, dude.
Throw a music festival down there. I wonder if you like
Storm booked, Area 51,
like Firefest style. You could just book like a bunch of like jam bands that people like just travel for, and be like, all right, Dead and Company and String Cheese Incident, Antarctica, let's go. And people just actually showed up, and then you're just like, okay, cool. Well, you're gonna help me build a civilization now.
You're trapped. The boat's not taking you back.
But it's a civilization made entirely of hemp.
the crystals are fucking THC, man. It's a huge weed farm, dude. See, that's what's wrong. It's not aliens. It's just a cartel. A cartel has a huge meth city underneath Antarctica. But see, again, like, I don't understand whose life doesn't immediately become better knowing that there is a crystal city of meth underneath Antarctica. I just don't understand why people might hate it at first, but they'll come to love it.
You know, I'm just going to show up and hug whoever's there and start licking the walls. It's going to be great. I think I'm really excited for it.
It's going to be great. And we can power our entire society with meth. Like, kind of like we're doing now, but in a much cleaner and more presentable way.
With less fentanyl.
Yeah, less, well,
this is pure. This is pure.
It's pure
Antarctic
methamphetamine.
Crystals.
Yeah. These were formed by aliens 1,000 years ago.
Is all yogurt frozen in Antarctica? Is it all froyo?
I guess.
Just any yogurt?
What's sad about it? What's sad about it is that even frozen yogurt in Antarctica would just be a solid block of ice. It wouldn't be enjoyable. Anyways, that's all. That's all we have. Until next week, we have been Clint and James. Goodbye.